Welcome everybody to a bit of a special episode of the Hot Drop. In this one, I have gone and talked to 4 players on 4 different teams that have sort of newly formed coming into PEC to try and give you a little bit of an overview about some of the rosters that formed in the off season and why those roster changes happened and what the expectations are for these teams. So I've had a chat with Keano, Mykle, Marcelek, and Teabone, all of which were really interesting conversations in themselves. I've tried to keep them short to sort of give you a brief overview before PEC starts. And yeah, I think it's a pretty good episode. If there's any players you want to see on the Hot Drop, if there's any topics you're interested in, please leave it down in the comments. That way I can do the best content for you guys. Once PEC starts, there'll be a lot more content, especially on my YouTube. So make sure that you're subscribed there if you want to sort of check out the analytical content, maybe figuring out how some of the teams play, why they perform so well, all that kind of stuff. But for now, have fun with the episode. So my first guest is Keano from Fahrenheit. Why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Well, hello. I am I'm Keano. I am the captain and IGL of the newly built Fahrenheit team. So I'm playing with Mykle, Mexi, and Noik now for the upcoming PEC.
I think it's one of the more promising rosters. There's a lot of rosters that have been built, and there's an absolute shit ton of free agents sort of floating around in space that we're looking for a team. So I know you've been trying to build that team for quite a while. But I think most people know you from the bystanders, right? So can you talk to me a little bit about how your path was from being one of the bystanders to looking for a team, to building this team, sort of your trajectory from last year to this year?
Yeah, so when we ended PCS qualifications last year, we were everyone was pretty unmotivated. Like no one really knew what they wanted to do for the next year, and everyone just not knowing what you are gonna do for the next 6 months. Basically, there's no plans or anything. And then one of our players said that he was gonna stop pretty fast after the tournament ended, and I already had a feeling that I wanted to find something new. And from there, it was just every one of us trying to do our own thing. And for me personally, I knew that I wanted to, I might not get on one of the biggest teams. I was hoping, obviously. I'm really hopeful, and I know that a lot of people has been looking for me as well, but
nice.
Want to kick it?
That's good. Just keep the cap, bro. It's good.
Okay, so I think a lot of people looked at my name, and I did have some tryouts, but nothing really caught on. And then I knew that I would probably be able to build my own team in the end anyways, and I really enjoy like the feeling of starting something new, and then I can put my own perspective on things and my own vision into play. So yeah, that's how I started. Like I started contacting Noik and Mykle, and we just kind of agreed that, well, nothing is really happening in the space, so let's just try and play together and see how it goes. That was how it all started. Yeah.
Now, you, I would say, are on super different rosters now. That, like, if you compare your last team and your current team, last team was sticking together for a very long time, all speaking Danish, and all names in the scene, sure, but not super high profile. Your current roster is the exact opposite. You don't speak Danish anymore. You've just come together. Some very, very big names, very experienced players. But also 4 players that have never played together, right? There has not been a situation where Mykle was playing with Mexi or Noik with Mykle or anything like that. So how does it feel for you to be in this team now compared to your old roster?
Well, I said, like, we sort of put the puzzle together from all over the place, but like in these last 5 months or something, people have just been mixing around in scrims and like playing, networking with each other, and you kind of figure out what personalities you fit well with. So like when me and Noik and Miracle started playing together, it just like it's you sort of felt like it clicked from the beginning. It was really nice feeling. Like even though I never talked to Noik before, but whenever we got into game, it just felt pretty good. And like our vibes were good, our games were going well, and it felt like we just needed to find the last piece of the puzzle with the and yeah. Then Mexi opened up, and he is also. I talked to Mexi in Dubai, and we had a really good time in Dubai together. I knew that our personalities at least would fit well, and yeah, but we have a good mix now with both experience. Sort of, I would consider me and Noah like still have something to prove, but we also have some experience, and I think that will be one of our key strengths coming into the next one.
I can see that for sure. Coming into the next one is a good talking point. PEC is coming up. You will be playing open qualifiers in 2 days. Now it's open qualifiers, it's closed qualifiers, it's the finals, it's PGS after that. Where on that ladder do you see yourself? What is your goal? Like, maybe not obviously everybody wants to go to PGS, obviously, right? But what would you be happy with achieving in this first tournament that you're playing?
It's a hard question because you're already saying like everyone wants to go to PGS.
That's the obvious answer.
My goal
right?
is to get to PGS. Like there's nothing more, like there's nothing else that I want more in the world right now than actually make a final. I've been a substitute and kind of like on the side now at PGC, and now I just want to play.
Yeah.
So I would get happy if we get to the final and put up a good showing, obviously, but I wouldn't be content.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to look at it, because
yeah,
you have to be somewhat realistic. You have to have the higher hopes, but you also should be somewhat realistic about what's going to happen, right? You can't be super upset about getting a top 8 in this PEC, for example, right? That would be a really good first showing for a team that's literally just come together. But
for us right now, we have to just focus on where we are and just try to get better so fast.
Yeah.
We have open qualifiers. We practiced for basically a week.
Yeah.
Not even a week. Yeah. We just focus on ourselves right now.
Yeah. It's a lot of learning to be done, a lot of growing together, I guess, as well. That brings me to my next question, which is, I want to ask you, what do you think, if something goes wrong, like in open qualifiers, what would go wrong? What are you like worried about? What could happen that would make you like fail in quotation marks? Do you think there's like something you can pick out?
Yeah, I actually thought about this as well in the past weekends. Like for me, I'm coming in as a first time IGL. So obviously I'm focusing a lot on like getting comfortable and improving really fast. But I feel like the calls, so you have to like make a really fast call because you don't have anything in the games. I think that's in open calls can be pretty devastating if you don't take the right decision. So I feel like if I do that like pretty bad call 3 games out of the 6 that you're playing, then it could turn bad really fast. Yeah. There's only 6 games every round, so it can turn bad really fast. But I'm pretty confident. I don't think that will happen, obviously.
Yeah. I think the 6 games make everything a lot scarier.
Yeah, for sure.
It's also one thing that I couldn't help but thinking about when I saw the leaks about Vikendi and Teo coming in. A best of 6 with 4 different maps is like 0 preparation. You have no idea what's going on. You have no idea who lands where, who loots what. You know, like that's going to be crazy stuff. So you're going to be happy to be playing 3 Miramars, 3 Erangels, I think.
I don't know how they're going to do the next qualifier. It's going to be chaos, I think. Holy.
It's going to feel like one of those partner throwdowns, you know, where people play like all the maps and all the gadgets and everything is absolutely crazy. It's going to be so wild. Okay, so you're not too worried. You're feeling good. What, like, if you had to pick out one thing about your team that sort of makes you confident, one thing that kind of gives you the confidence that you can go to PGS, what would it be?
We have 4 players that can, like, individually, they've all played on teams where they had to use their own brain. We can all make decisions and we can all take care of ourselves in game. I don't have to like tell people to go and do this and this and this. I just have them to put them in place, and then they would just go from there.
Yeah.
So like our individuality is definitely our key.
That's big.
Our vision, well, my vision when I started building the team was that I wanted people who could like think for themselves, make their own decisions, because we don't have an IGL, or a first-time IGL at least. It's going to be a really big help as well, that people can take over sometimes and they're not afraid to.
Yeah, it's big. I think there is some space for micromanaging, but there's no space. Maybe for one player, you know, maybe you can have one player that is just there to shoot or something. But when you have 4 people, you need to have at least like 3 very self-sufficient, confident players that do their own thing.
Obviously, at the top level, there's a lot of micromanaging as well, but to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent, and especially, I feel like when you have so much to work on as a team, you've just come together. You can't afford to be like micromanaging everything. You have to have some space to just play your own game and think about your own things.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for hanging out, Keano. I'm gonna be excited to watch you guys in the open qualifiers, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the upper bracket.
Yeah, hopefully.
My next guest is going to be Marcelek from Polish Power. Can you quickly sort of introduce your new roster to the viewers that maybe aren't up to speed?
Well, we got a really big addition of the true Viking himself, Phosphate, into the Polish Power. Recently, it's been a change on the last minute, but I'm very happy with the peak, and I hope we're gonna do some changes in the EU scene again.
I think that's a good starting point for our conversation, because surely a move like that, going away from a full Polish lineup, bringing a completely different style of player, I would say, into your team as well, is going to have big changes for you, right? Now, you haven't had a ton of time to get used to this new roster, but if you would have to sort of describe how the gameplay is different now, can you tell us a little bit about that, how things have changed in Polish Power without Kapii?
I mean, you know, we didn't really play much, as you said, because that was a last minute thing.
Yeah.
But like, what was the thought process of getting Foss into the team was like the experience he can get into the team, the more strategic way to approach certain scenarios, you know, like think it more through, not sending it more through like we used to. Mm-hmm. And when we had like the whole chat with Norkis and Krunio to each other, we said like there's nothing wrong of trying it, you know. It's still a big change for us, since we're gonna speak in English. We're gonna have English comms right now instead of Polish, which is a little bit hard for Krunio, since he doesn't speak really fluent English. But like, we're trying our best right now. We had 2 screen blocks, I think. So we like, Fastface told us he wants to see like how we operate, how we communicate, what we do, what we like to take, how we scout, how we behave in the fights. He wants to check it out before like the official games, so he can start implementing maybe some of his things. You know, he also doesn't want to. He didn't like show up, and he's not trying to be the smartass in the team or whatever. Like he's helping Norkis a lot. He's giving a lot of ideas. He's saying what we can do here, what we can do here. So like on the scrim block this week and like on the qualifiers, we're gonna see how it works. Like, you know, in work when we're gonna do the job.
Yeah, that's good. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think is it fair to say that you probably looked at sort of the free agent market and you realized there just isn't a real Polish alternative, right? So you had to give that up, and you just figured it's better to get someone with that much experience.
The thing you said right now is that was straight away gone. Like, I knew whenever that roster is gonna be moved, touched, or whatever happens to this roster, the Polish roster is gone. There's nothing else you can do. Like, I tried my best. That was my vision 2 years ago, that I told Norkis that I want to build a Polish lineup. I gave him the names. We worked it on, and it worked. But that was the only option you can possibly get. You're not gonna get any better Polish player to fit that roster.
Yeah.
And it was obvious that we have to go international. There's no other way. And like, I'm more than happy that Krunio allowed and like, you know, agreed on playing in English, because he could go to a Russian roster as well without a problem, because he speaks fluent Russian.
Okay.
So he could also do a change, but he decided to stay, and I mean, it feels good. It's nice. We'll see how it goes. It's a little bit like, you know, it's a little bit stressful right now for me, even because like I didn't play in English in a long time as well, since ATC days, but it feels nice to finally get something new and maybe some new plays. You know, we played also from new places that we usually didn't play from, so it's something fresh to the game. So
it's a fresh start. I think it's probably the right time for a fresh start, because you had a really good year, and then you had a fairly bad PGC, so like it wouldn't have made any sense to make a change before PGC, but now it's like, yeah, okay, maybe this is a good time.
I mean, I still don't agree with the change, but it happened. So, you know, I was happy. Yeah. I was happy with the team, very happy with the team. I'm not lying. I'm not like trying to hide it. I was very happy with the team, but like we need to adapt, right? It happened. There's no change back. Like we have to adapt to the situation, and I feel like with the experience we got, with the chance we got, I feel like it only can go like uphill from now. So.
I think it's an interesting topic, because there's a lot of like regional rosters that speak their own language, and it's really nice, and it is, people get really comfortable, and comms are easy and all that stuff. But then when you want to make a change, suddenly you're like locked in. And I think like Entropic is an example for that, where if they would want to make a change, they'd have a really hard time finding someone right now. And for example, Ascend, we don't want to make a change. But if we had to make a change now, if someone got sick, if someone quit the game, we'd be scrambling. And we'd be in the same situation that you guys are in. So it's a really interesting dynamic where it can be really beneficial, but you, like you said, I think you have to be ready to give it up, right? You can't fully force it, because you're just gonna pick suboptimal players.
You know, you always feel better when you're in like your country, guys, your language. You're like you have everything that is yours around you, right? And then stepping outside that circle is going outside your like comfort zone, right? Yeah. Because basically, like, you know, imagine you never like, okay, Krunio is a perfect example. He never plays comp, then he starts playing comp in Polish. Yeah. He achieves a lot, and now he's getting thrown again into that random circle. Yeah. Different comps totally, new people, and like, you know, it's crazy hard, but I feel like
new loot spot, new game plan, new lineup, different language. It's rough.
Exactly. It's not easy.
I had a chat earlier with Keano too, and it's the exact same situation for him. He's coming like out of a lineup that they were together for ages. They were speaking Danish, and now it's like 4 free agents. They have never played together before. It's literally 4 new players. It's interesting. It's hard, but I think the potential is there, and probably there's a lot of potential as well for someone like Krunio to just grow out of that, right, and become a way more complete player.
100%. I agree 100%. It's 100% is going to develop you as a person. If you put you especially in like scenarios where you're not comfortable, you're learning much more. You're learning much faster, much quicker. You're just gonna evolve as a player, and that's good. Obviously not for everyone. It's like some people are gonna struggle, but that's how you're gonna see who is gonna be the best, who is gonna be better. And
struggling is how you get better.
Exactly.
There's no other way.
100% agree.
Yeah. So I want to ask what sort of your goals are for this PEC. It's one out of the 3 big tournaments, but like you said, you've just come together. You've just made a massive change. The main goal is probably getting ready throughout the year, right? Improving as a team, but you still want to perform, right? Like, what are your expectations? Maybe what would you be happy with to finish here in this PEC?
Qualifying to every event, final. That's my goal, like every year, because I want to play every single final. And in the final, I'm always chill in the final, because like I can study the teams. I know exactly what team's gonna play. I can like, you know, predict some things that are like, people say you can't predict certain things, but you can predict certain things in the finals, obviously, when you have a limited teams. And it's also our region. We play in that region for a long time now. Obviously, right now the whole Royale with the rosters it's gonna change a little bit, but it's still gonna be same Europe as it was. And I feel like we're still capable of going to the finals. I know there's gonna be probably a lot of upsets in the qualifiers. Yeah. I just can't wait to see what's going on. It's gonna be amazing, and I feel like roster Royale is gonna begin before the second event again. So. Yeah, I feel like there's this year is gonna be very, very weird when it comes to rosters and the teams and how it's gonna play out.
If you know, can't really comment on the leaks too much and everything, but this is gonna be a really interesting year for PUBG. That is for sure. I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit hyped. It's a weird mix of emotions.
You know, I was sitting back and enjoying it, but then it hit me as well, and I've been starting to stress out a lot as well a little bit. So like in the beginning it was chill, but right now it's not anymore.
Yeah. But it's good that you know that. It's good that you can talk about it, you know? Like,
I mean,
it's good that you can admit it.
That's facts, you know. It's you can't talk with facts. It's like something that might hit me as well. So you never know.
If there's like something that goes wrong for you in PEC, what is your like biggest worry that could be? Sort of is there like if you had to pick one thing that you're a little bit worried about, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing that I'm scared of overall is like losing the whole Polish power, you know, like losing my team, and I feel like Nork is, because he's like the closest to me, you know. I feel like I don't see a team without him anymore, you know. And maybe I'm just too used to him because like the whole pro career, as I can say, and like how much I play with him, it's like basically all my achievements are with this guy, you know. And like when what happened to Polish Power in the beginning, it's like the first thought was like, oh no, it's like I just might lose the whole team. It's not only one player. But like, you know, you don't think about the bad things, you know, because if you're gonna think about them, you're gonna magnetize them to come to you. You know, you don't want it to happen. So I'm visualizing myself good things this year. So let's hope it's gonna stay like that.
Let's go.
Yeah.
What is gonna be better on Polish Power now with that roster change? What makes you confident you can perform this year?
Oh, I feel like FAS might bring us a little bit of a responsibility, you know, like a little self-awareness for myself, for example, not dying stupidly when I usually, because I'm dying many times in weird different ways. I feel like FAS might have actually an impact, because during the games, obviously, I'm not the same guy as I play my streams and I play on the tournaments. It's two completely different stories. That's two completely different players as well. But I feel like he might help me as a, like, personally. I don't want to say for all the boys, but personally he might bring the, you know, the military itch to the team to be like more responsible for your decisions, be more self-aware of every scenario, and probably work on the communication as well. Because I feel like during the like team play and playing in the team, he is much more experienced than me in English for sure. So.
Yeah. I think that's something that's really hard to value, is how much do you enjoy that experience, the responsibility, all those like soft skills versus some guy that's just really fucking good at shooting, right? And you always have to sort of weigh them up against each other and you never really know. And you're basically trading a super cracked guy versus a super experienced guy, right? And
I mean, that's PUBG. I feel like that's the game we're playing. Like you don't have to be a top tier aim to play this game. You don't have to be an amazing shooter. Obviously, it's gonna help you out. Okay, you're gonna catch some kills on rotations. Obviously, you're gonna make an open knock. But like, you can't buy the experience, dude. No one is gonna give you the experience, the knowledge, the hours time spent on these maps to like that, you know. It's not something you can practice just sitting every day and just practicing on battlegrounds. You're not gonna get it. Like the amount of games he played, tournaments he won, matches he lost. That's something you just can't purchase or like whatever. It's just in his head, and maybe he's gonna let us know a little bit, and maybe not, you know. And I said it on my streams as well. We tested Bad Boy, for example, to Polish Power. He was on our trials, and like this guy. Like, he's insane. The way he plays, the way he peeks, the way he open knocks. It's just like I shoot a lot, but this guy is crazy nuts. Crazy nuts. And I feel like if he gets like 3 guys that are gonna hold him on the leash and put him there, he's gonna do amazing. Yeah. It's only a little bit of the barrier with his English as well. But if he's gonna keep just practicing his language skills, if PUBG is gonna be good, then I feel like Vedvo has a bright future in front of him still. Yeah. And he's not that young. He's like 25, I think, as well. So he's insane.
But you went for the experience, and
you
also Fuzz is probably one of the players that has the most LAN experience, right, in the whole scene. And do you think that's something you guys could have used on PGC? Like,
for sure.
Was that a problem for you guys?
I mean, you know, right now I would say no, but I deeply know that there was a problem that we never been to a LAN. And, you know, even though I've been to some certain LANs, I also wouldn't call myself a big LAN player. I'm a guy that likes my environment. I like to play in my room, in my box, you know. I like to have certain things on my desk, very easy, like accessible, you know. I smoke, for example. That's a problem for me on Arena when you cannot smoke all the time, you know. I don't use the snooze like the Norwegian guys or like the Nordic guys, more like. So there's always problems on LANs, and it's 100% a different environment. How, you know, you can... It's hard to say, because when you have Kapii and you have Nukrunio, two brand new players that were never on any different game tournaments, LANs as well, and they come and they say like everything is alright, you know, you don't really know how they feel inside, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember myself when me and Norcus went to a first LAN in Berlin. He was like, oh, it's okay, and then he dominated the whole LAN. He was top fragging, and he was like, it's. I feel like it's in every player's. It's like a personal approach. And for me, I love LANs. I would love to go to every single LAN, but I love to play from my desk and from my house. It's the house environment. It's just like I feel much more safe, much more better. I can much more focus on the tournaments. But you know,
it's easier.
It is what it is. Yeah, it's easier, 100%.
I agree. It's just, but yeah, like you said, sometimes you step out of your comfort zone, you grow, right? And but yeah,
that's how you develop as a player.
100%.
And the problem is the problem is exactly that we didn't have much LANs in the future. There was a break. Obviously, we know why. But I would love to have an opportunity to play like 5 LANs a year. You know, to see myself how I would develop if I qualify to every single event. And like if I get better and better, but it's hard to say because I've been to like, I don't know, 3-4 LANs maybe. So
if things go well, you're going to 3 LANs this year, so there is a chance. There is a chance.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for coming on, Marcelek. Thank you for the quick chat. And well, best of luck in PEC.
Thank you so much.
See you later.
See you later.
All right, my next guest is Mykle. And you have a pretty new roster, so maybe you can sort of introduce yourself and your team a little bit, Mykle.
Yeah, my name is Mykle. I've been playing since like 2017 when the game started, pretty much. And for this year, we didn't stick together with fellas completely from last year. Tixu decided to quit the game. And then me and Rustamar got an offer. So this year we're gonna be playing with me, Rustamar, Klib, and Smash. Under fellas right now.
Nice. So I think it's fair to say pretty massive changes, especially when you look at the players that have left the roster and the players you picked up. I feel like you have picked up 2 extremely like flashy mechanical players, where Tixu and Miraku were more like the support players, right? I feel like maybe more on the back lines, maybe more sort of, just not as flashy, not as crazy. Does it feel different playing now under the new roster? How does it feel?
I think in fellas, for the most part, it was mostly me and Rustamar who were the more like aggressive players on the team, or like kind of led frontline, mostly. And like I guess you say like, I don't know if like the rogue players with it is the type of like way to say it, like we kind of just like we do what we feel and type of stuff, and like we try and make like players work and this and that. And but on this team I think everyone really wants to do that. It can be kind of hard to balance, I guess, at times. If like a fight happens on the hill next to your compound, and then usually you're the one that goes, okay, I'm gonna run out and try and get a third party kill or something. Then like someone else says it as well, and then all of a sudden like everyone's running out the compound, and like and, you know what I mean? It's like kind of like we have a lot of those players, but firepower wise, like just like compound fights and stuff, like we're winning insane amounts of fights. Like I don't ever doubt that we're ever gonna lose a fight if we lose like 1 or 2 players. Like every player has that flair to just like get 2 or 3 knocks and just win you the fight completely, which is like really nice.
Gives you a lot of confidence, I guess, as well. But maybe, I think that's going to be interesting, right? Because you definitely sort of the dynamic of the team changes a bit. Do you feel like the momentum as well, and so the chemistry changes a little bit? Because from the outside in, Miraku and Tixu feel like very quiet, calm players. But then I've also heard people saying that, like in game, for example, Miraku is not that quiet at all. So do you think like you're way more of a momentum based team now? Do you think it like that changes sort of the mindset as well, or is it just like you try and do the same thing with different players?
I mean, I think like the fellas last year, we had a really good dynamic. Tixu was IGLing, and then Miraku was co-IGLing, but I think he was doing more of that, more than that. He was like a player who really keeps the team together. His like mentality is like really good. His attitude's really good. He's like really positive to be around. And he also like, you know, all the stuff that the IGL messes out, all those like micro details, like be ready on cars, circle pop, what we doing if the circle goes far away, this and that, like make sure he's already this, like all that stuff, like he covers all of that. And I think it's really important to have someone like that. I think on this team when we started, we were really missing that extra vocal person who was like filling in all those details. So we kind of had to adapt to do that. With Clib's IGL now. Well, that was always the plan to have Clib IGL. But obviously he hadn't IGL in a little bit, so we kind of need to get him up to speed with certain things, and also what me and Rustamar felt was really good from our fellas roster last year, from the IGL perspective, that we could kind of like give towards Clib and be like, okay, like this is how me and Rustamar at least like to play the game, and what makes us the most comfortable in the server. If you give us this freedom for certain things like this, and then also like we think this is good, and like you'll get the most out of the roster if we do like play this certain way. I felt like sometimes we definitely played the game too fast when we first started. Like, what was it, like a month ago or so now, a month and a half? Like we definitely played the game too fast, and we were losing people early, which really affected our game. And yeah, just like sending it a bit too much when like we have so much firepower. Like why do we need to send it? You know. So yeah, we've got like a good balance right now. We're still figuring stuff out, but yeah, we just decided our loot spots as well. So we're going to be looting El Pozo and then Severny as our main spots. So we need to figure out mostly just like our default circles and like our home circles especially. I think those are the main ones. Like once you get your home circles sorted out, everything else you should just be able to play. Like circles, like doesn't really matter. You can play from anywhere, but as long as your home circles are good, you're just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're sort of growing together, right? From two different directions a little bit, from Clib versus your play style. Is there someone that is trying to pick up that Miraku role, that sort of co-IGL, pay attention to the small details? Or is that just a team effort kind of thing now?
I would say just like I don't know. I would say it's a bit of a team effort. I try and do it sometimes, but it's like when you play on a team with other people who do it, you kind of fall out of the habit of it, and it can be hard to get into it, because then you fall into another play style, like another style of like you find your value somewhere else in the team, and then like find the balance between which ones you think are like better to give up and stuff. Like yeah, I think it's just like a team effort right now, but it's yeah, it's going fine right now. We could still definitely be on a cause already re-driving on circles faster. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the things, right, that you can just continuously work on, and sort of everyone has to take those in mind as well, right? It's not like the IGL can just tell everyone to be on their cars when circle pops every single time. You're busy sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds pretty good. Now PEC is coming up. When this episode comes out, it's probably the day that the open qualifiers start. You guys did pretty well with fellas in PCS 7. Now you're on a completely different roster. But what you said makes you sound very confident, right? Like, do you feel like finals, PEC finals, are like the minimum goal for you? Or what level of achievement would you be happy with in PEC?
I mean, I was speaking with Smash, and he said also like last year for him personally was like a failure of a year, like it was just a waste of a year. I mean, they still had decent results and everything, but yeah, like I also had the same goal as well. Like I don't really want to waste any more time within PUBG. I kind of just want to get the most out of what I can get out of it. I really think our team like I don't want to add obviously no pressure on our team, because I think that's like a really bad thing is to add pressure on. But yeah, obviously I think we should be making PEC finals. I can't imagine. I think it'd be a major just like upset if we don't make it. Yeah, I think the only way we wouldn't make it is if we get in our own heads, which in my mind is like a really big thing to have, the mentality of it's like it's not that serious, it's not that deep. don't overthink it. Just be as calm as you can. Otherwise, you will just outplay yourselves and completely flop.
Especially in best of 6 open qualifiers, right? Things can turn south so quick if you start with like 1 or 2 bad games or something.
And yeah, I mean that's the only reason, like, even like teams that aren't at the top level, that's the only reason why they don't qualify. Like, even if they're like a tier 2, tier 3 team, like they should always make around like early rounds. It's like you literally just outplay yourself. You're too scared, or like you overthink stuff. Like, yeah, that's literally it.
You haven't played a tournament in 6 months, so you know you get into the first tournament, you're shaky, you're nervous, and then you're sending center when you could just be chilling, stuff like that, right? It's a big mind game. But I think I that was going to be my next question as well. Is like, what are you most worried about? But I think getting into your own head is pretty much the standard answer. I've talked to someone who said like the only thing he's worried about is meeting a cheater team, and I think that's a pretty reasonable answer as well if you get unlucky with that. But probably.
I mean, that was the case with question mark last year for PCS, right? When they didn't even qualify, and the team got disqualified in front of them in the open qualifiers, and that for cheating, and then they qualified the PCS because of that, and then won PCS.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, didn't even. But that's like open qualifiers are just crazy. I can't even think about what's gonna happen when we have 4 maps in the map pool and we play best of 6 open qualifiers.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy.
That's gonna be wild.
Because no one's gonna have a clue like what's actually good. Like, a lot of people in like from the good teams know like what compounds and stuff and like first circles like are good, and like no one's gonna have a clue at all. It's just gonna be a complete mess.
And then you don't know any loot spots. You don't know anything, right? You're just like 16 teams going into the map, not knowing where they're gonna loot or where other people are gonna loot. Nobody knows rotations. You play the map once and then you're out. It's wild. It's gonna be crazy. I think PUBG this year is gonna be just absolutely crazy. But yeah, do you the one thing I have to ask about the lineup is sort of, is there a language barrier problem with Smash? How good is his English? I'm not quite sure. It's probably workable, right? But is it holding you back a little bit?
I mean, at the start, it's not, his English is fine. It's just the fact of like at the start he couldn't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah,
which is understandable. But no, I mean, I spoke to him at Nations Cup as well. I said, because at Nations Cup we were kind of, me and Justy or Mykle were like in between teams or like whatever. Like we kind of just got dropped from Explodes, and I'd said to Smash like, I'd be interested to play with you next year, depending on what happens and stuff. And he said like, yeah, that's something I'm interested in. And when I spoke, I had this I didn't really speak to him all that much at the Nations Cup, but when I spoke to him, his English was really good. Like there was no problems there.
Okay.
Yeah, the only problem is he couldn't understand me properly, but I think he's getting a lot better at it now.
So his English is better than yours, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard.
Yeah, I've had that issue. I've been there. Cool. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Mykle. Thank you so much for having a chat. Best of luck in PC, and I hope we'll see you guys pretty soon.
Yeah. Cheers for having us.
My next guest is a pretty well-known one. But maybe, Teabone, you can sort of introduce yourself and your new roster to the viewers who aren't really up to date.
Yo, what's up, everyone? I am Teabone. I'm playing for UgaBuga right now. The roster consists of me, Beamy, 8C, and Vard. So, yep, that's about it.
So you've basically changed half of your roster from the heroic one. But you've even gone through more iterations, right? You had a time where you were scrimming with James on the roster. You had a time where I think you were scrimming with Clib for a while as well. Can you sort of walk us through the changes and how that whole trajectory went from you from the heroic roster to here?
Sure. So basically, it started off with us needing one. It was me, Corexy, and Beamy, as most of you know. We went through a lot of different trials and whatnot to try and find a player suitable for us. As you said, that started off with James. It was going really well with James, actually. Like, I enjoyed playing with him. It was good fun. But as everyone knows now, they got different offer from FaZe Clan, so I don't blame them at all. It's definitely, well, like, who wouldn't take that choice, right?
Yeah.
Global partner team, whatnot. So they went over there, leaving me and Beamy. So we had to scratch our heads basically and start over and think about what we wanted in a team and players we wanted to play with. And then we just went on a trial and rampage 7 days a week, basically, until we found some players that we thought fit.
And then pretty much towards the end, right? You had like Diggory sort of stepped out for personal reasons, from what I know.
Yeah.
And you had to get someone else really quickly right before PC. You happy with that choice? You happy with how that went, or?
Yeah. So how that whole situation went, we was down to the last. We wanted Vard for sure. Like, Vard's, I played PNC with him. Like, he's a great guy. Like, I think he's one of the best players when he's on his game, basically in the game right now, still mechanically. So we wanted Vard, and then it was a really tough choice between Diggory and 8C to begin with. Diggory just won. It was a really hard choice, but he just like edged out, I would say. And then, unfortunately, as you know, I'm not going to speak more, but Diggory stepped out for personal reasons. And then it was like, the logical choice is to straight ask 8C, right? So we just went with it. Luckily, he said yes, and I think he's going to work very well still.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a nutty player. I'm still interested though. You said it was a very close choice between the two. If you had to say sort of what one Diggory over for you over 8C, what would that have been?
Diggory was more, I would say, vocal. Yeah, he was very vocal in some of the aspects of his gameplay, which I like. Me and Beamy both really liked. Other than that, there was pretty much dead on, I would say, like equal footings.
Makes sense. Would you say that you are the most vocal player in your team right now? It feels like from the outside in that sort of Vard, 8C, even Beamy feel like fairly quiet, calm players. Is that true, or am I getting the wrong impression just because I'm not in the game?
That's pretty true. I mean, like, I'm the IGL now too, so like, this is the first team I'm actually gonna fully be able to IGL. I know, and I went on heroic a bit. Like, I was IGL, but I wasn't really the IGL, I'd say. So this is the first time I'm like actually in control. So I'm the most vocal for sure. Vard speaks more than I think people know, at least, and then Beamy's probably the most quiet, but like, he does his job. So,
do you think that's going to be a challenge? Sort of you being the main guy doing everything now, is that a lot of responsibility on you, or are you confident it's going to work out?
I mean, that's good. I think it's good. I have the responsibility. Like, it makes me actually focus a little bit more on the game. I mean, it's still a learning process. Like, I've only just started, really, but I feel like my strong suit as a player has always been bringing in the best out of other players, not so much myself or my own gameplay, but like my teammates, bringing the best out of them. So I think it's going to be okay.
Sounds good. Now, we have PEC coming up. It's hopefully this episode is going to come out on the day where the open qualifiers start. Now, you have literally just put together this roster. Your main goal is probably going to be doing well this year, right? In the long term. What's the sort of result you'd be happy with in this PEC?
I mean, we're going to qualify to finals, no problem. Like, let's be honest. If we don't, then let's just say that. If we don't, then we're shit. I would just leave it at that. But honestly, right now, with all the roster changes and everyone, I think we can position ourselves to be like top 5 PEC first time. That's what I mean, obviously, I want top 2 so I can go PGS, but realistically, like, top 5, yeah.
The thing is, right, you can be top 5 and still go to PGS if all 3 partner teams are in the top 5.
Exactly.
So that's something I've talked with a lot of people about. Is top 2 sounds horrible, but is someone expecting Twisted Minds to not be in the top 2, for example? I don't think so. Then you're already looking at top 3. So
yeah, that's true.
It might be doable. You still have to go through a lot of rounds of best of 6 open qualifier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you're concerned about? Anything that could go wrong in the qualifiers?
Not anymore. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
We'll be fine.
Sounds good. Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
I wish you the best of luck in
Thank you.
Scrims tonight, in PEC tomorrow. And
Thank you very much.
yeah, see you soon.
Yep. See ya. Thanks, guys. Peace out.
Hope you guys enjoyed episode 5. I know it's a bit of a different one, but I think it was an interesting look into the teams coming into PEC. There'll be a lot of content coming up on this channel, including my Twitch and my YouTube. Feel free to follow both of those. If you want to support, then that is greatly appreciated. A lot of work goes into these episodes. Subscribing, liking on YouTube is always a good thing. Using my creator code, which I always put in the description in PUBG, helps me out without costing you anything. And yeah, if you want to give some financial support, Patreon is always a good thing. I have decided to not put any content behind a paywall. And I've also decided for now not to sort of give early access to Patreon. It's just for people that want to support me. So if people do, that's super appreciated. And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. Watch parties on my Twitch, analytical content on Twitch and YouTube. Don't miss out on it.